Hey everyone, and welcome to Ricky's Rockin' Reviews. I am finally able to share some news that I've been sitting on. I partnered with Deixis Press. They're a publisher who has sent me a stack of books, huge stack of books for me to review. These are 8 books that they have curated. So I'll be kind of detailing each book individually here in this video, as well as explaining a little bit more about Deixis Press and who they are. So just to start off with, Deixis Press is a publisher based out in London, which was founded by Angel Belsey in 2021. She started publishing in 2016, and she's been doing work as an editor and a literary agent. Deixis Press prides themselves on publishing literary fiction, books that are hard to categorize, but they don't shy away from genre, as long as it's beautifully crafted. Their aim is to discover, commission, and curate works of literary art. Now, I have already reviewed one of their books before. It's called The Secret Lives and Loves of a Stupid Man by Mark Joan. And it's reviewed on my channel, and also it was one of my favorite reads of 2023. I listed it on my top 10 reads of the year. After reading that book, I started looking more into the publisher and communicating with Angel. And I found that their books have like a darker edge. And I'm all about that, especially with, some themes that you don't really see in, the average books that are on the shelves these days. So I thought this was a really unique and awesome opportunity. So I'm really excited to share these with you guys. The first book I want to talk to you guys about is called Hang Dog Souls by Mark Joan. So this will be my second read from this author, and I really enjoyed that first one. So it says here, The Kingdom of Mysore, 1799. A guilt-racked British army deserter tries to win safety for those he loves. But his reckless bargaining only leaves him trapped between destinies, condemned to facilitate centuries of suicide and murder. Death after death, each death diminishes him until a quarter of a millennium later, a Caroline astrophysicist has a chance to annul the soldier's Faustian bargain. But Shandy John is weakened by his own burden of grief. Will this first century scientist become just another helpless nexus between undeserved death and undeserved life? Hang Dog Souls is set in the Dravidian heartlands of South India and in a blurred edgeland where alternative realities elide. Through linked narratives of guilt, shame, and the search for absolution, this book takes readers from the arid Tamil plains to the highest peaks of the Nilgiris, from occult horrors in Tipu Sultan's kingdom to creeping madness in the world of particle physics. Spanning 300 years, the stories in Hang Dog Souls weave together the fates and fortunes of multiple characters, individuals that echo through the generations, asking always the same question: what weight can balance the death of an innocent? So that's pretty meaty stuff. This is about a 340-page book, so that looks really, really cool. Now this sounds like a book that's going to bring up a lot of philosophical questions, which is always welcome here. The next book I'm going to be looking at is called The Burn Street Haunting by Richard Gatz. Out of his past, out of his mind, it crawls. That's a really cool cover. So, London, 1973. A small-time crook is on the run from the law, from the local crime boss, and above all, from a horror that's haunted him since childhood. A supernatural psychic entity that seeks to devour his soul. It's crawled out of his memories, and now slowly it's emerging from his mind into reality. So he believes, but is it real? Are feelings of guilt about his most recent crime pushing him into paranoid delusions? At the boarding house where he takes refuge, he hopes to restart his life through his love for a fellow resident, but his growing fear of the entity and the imminent vengeance of London's criminal underworld threatens disaster for them both. When they find themselves at the entity's mercy, trapped in a bizarre, menacing other world, reality itself mutates into something truly evil. Wow, what a blend of stuff. So you got kind of like some crime fiction as well as horror, and then some otherworldly things. So it can kind of be like a dark magic type story. There's praise. It's called superbly atmospheric. by the rubbery award judging panel, wonderfully sinister, visceral, and philosophical in equal measure. Thoroughly original, gruesome thriller, and it feels like an instant classic. So, hell yeah, I can't wait to dive deep into this one. And this one is about 250 pages. So, looks like a nice quick read, which should give all the thrills. I just love that cover. That's awesome. Next book I want to talk about is called Some Rise by Sin. Now, this was one that when Angel was talking to me about what she had, this one really piqued my curiosity. So, in 1829, a tough year to be a body snatcher. Burke and Hare have just been convicted of killing people to sell their bodies, to widespread outrage. But despite the bad press, doctors still need fresh corpses for medical research. Sammy and Facey are a couple of so-called resurrection men, making a living among society's fringe dwellers by hoisting the newly departed from the churchyards of London, whilst masquerading as late-night bakers. Operating on tip-offs and rumors in the capital's drinking dens and fighting pits, the pair find themselves in receipt of some valuable intelligence. An unusual cadaver has popped up on the market, that of a hermaphrodite. For any medic worth his salt, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a medical curiosity and a rara vis. And famous anatomist Joshua Brooks commissions the two men to obtain the body at any cost. But some corpses hold secrets, and before long the enterprise becomes a deadlier and more complex undertaking than either man could have ever imagined. Now, that sounds so unique, so cool. Tracy Shalaver calls it grotesque, pathetic, yet with moments of poignant calm and welcome humor. Oh my gosh. And it's kind of a chunkster. It's bleeding into 400 pages almost. So I cannot wait to dive into this. And possibly the best part is that there is a sequel called What We Leave Behind. And I have not read into the back of this because, of course, I haven't read the first one yet. But I know that it's going to build off of that. And I'm just excited to see where that goes. And this is also a really nice, cool little cover too. So that's a pair that's that I'm really looking forward to reading. Next book I want to talk about is called The Transfer Problem by Adam Saint. A global bank is hiding a dark secret. An artificial intelligence has been secretly implanted into its computer system, a terrifying new advance in technology. But this aggressive and highly sensitive AI is good. So good that it bankrupts the entire world economy. Wow, that stuff could be real pretty soon here maybe. I don't know, that's kind of scary. A frighteningly realistic new thriller, The Transfer Problem is an adrenaline-fueled mystery that takes readers to the heart of a dark world. Ethan, an introverted banker with a traumatic past, falls in love with Anna, some romance, an enigmatic scientist with whom he shares an academic interest in the philosophy of existence and consciousness. But with the reappearance of Ethan's rogue brother Robert, a hacker who is forbidden from using technology, the hypothetical turns all too real. Robert convinces Ethan to let Anna transfer a conscious mind into Ethan's trading algorithms. But when Anna's experiment goes well, too well, in fact, with world-altering consequences, Ethan finds himself on the run, searching for answers to Anna's mysterious past and looking desperately for a way to give humanity its future back. With nail-biting action and smart technical themes, The Transfer Problem asks what it means to exist, to be real, and to be human. But it also asks an even bigger question. How far would you go to avenge yourself? Wow. And something else that I don't think it mentions here, but I mean, how connected are we to our banking systems and money, and how crippling it can be to just have a devastating blow to that as far as like our existence. That seems pretty deep. This is one of the shorter ones. This is about 250 pages. Even though it's short, I feel like it's still going to be dense and concentrated with all these themes, which I'm really excited to get into. So far, all of these are very different from each other, and that's something I can really appreciate from a publisher, which sounds so cool. Next one I'm looking at is called The Last Doorbell by William Parker. Ben's past was supposed to be behind him, debts paid, savings secured, and a collection of outrageous anecdotes that would amuse his friends for a lifetime. But under pressure from his escort agency for one final favor, he now stands at the precipice, finger poised over a doorbell. There's a moment's pause before his finger makes reluctant contact. He can't possibly know it, of course, but this doorbell, the last, changes his life forever. Now this one for me, even from reading that, is a little bit on the ambiguous side, but I think that's on purpose. I love getting into a book knowing like as little as possible, and that just helps with the surprises, twists and turns, and just catching me off guard. This one has a big question mark over it, which just makes it a little bit more attractive to me. And now the next two are super cool, and I kind of been saving these two for last. So Angel was kind of describing how there's some like kind of modern retelling of horror classics. So this one is called The Workshop of Filthy Creation. And this is going to be the book that I'm reading really soon, and I'm going to be reviewing soon. So in the autumn of 1879, an intelligent, artificially created being, outwardly a young woman called Maria, arrives in London under the protection of biologist George Hobson. Hobson gathers close friends and reveals her existence, explaining that she is the final result of a research program undertaken by a dynasty of unethical scientists, the von Frankens. All are now dead. Unknown to Hobson, one of his friends, Jabez Pell, is linked to an underground scientific organization, the Promethean Society, which aims to conquer death by whichever means necessary and whichever means possible. Pell immediately recognizes the potential that Maria's regenerative abilities can offer them, but after his attempt to kidnap her turns deadly, Maria goes on the run. Maria finds herself at the heart of a raging controversy. Some want her jailed, some want her dead, and some want to peel the flesh from her bones. Worse, she is now hunted not only by members of the Prometheans, but also by the police and her creator Wilhelm von Franken, who, as it turns out, is alive in a sense. So James Kingsley, author of Playtime's Over, has this to say about this book. The Workshop of Filthy Creation is a remarkable book, visceral and philosophical in equal measure, the perfect combination of big ideas and a rattling good yarn. Hell of a read. This is by Richard Gadds as well. He wrote the Burn Street Haunting with the red cover that I showed earlier. And so this looks really intriguing. And so I don't know if you picked it up, but this kind of has some kind of like connecting threads, or at least homages and inspirations from Frankenstein, which is, I have been reading, and man, I've been brushing up on this. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley deserves to be lauded. This is just such a beautifully told story. The prose is amazing. It just deserves every bit of its recognition. This is such a beautiful written story. I can't get over it. There's just so much good in here, and I can't wait to finish this and also compare it with The Workshop of Filthy Creation. And up next is The Eater of Flies by Richard Gadds as well. So I don't know if you can see this kind of like a vampiric skeleton here. Summer 1868. London's West End buzzes with a chaotic blend of affluence and moral decay, a place where high society and underworld meet. A valuable box from Transylvania, sealed tight, falls into unscrupulous hands. Its opening releases a vampire, a wraith-like parasite that hides inside a host. whether young or old, man or woman, and thirst for human blood. For those who live and work around Holmeswood Music Hall, just off the Strand, the vampire's arrival begins a nightmare of betrayal and death, and a race to return the creature to the grave before others of its kind come back to pick the city clean. The Eater of Flies leaves traditional vampiric lore behind, offering a chilling Victorian Gothic tale laced with crime, pitch dark humor, and above all, rampant greed for money, for power, for blood. So, obviously, this kind of has a little bit to do with Dracula, some inspiration, even though it says it leaves a traditional lore behind. I'm definitely going to be reading Dracula in preparation to review this book as well. So look towards these reviews next, as well as Frankenstein and Dracula. This little Dracula book, I picked it up in Portugal. It might not be exclusive to a bookstore in Portugal, but it's the famous bookstore over there that kind of inspired the staircase for Harry Potter. I went there a couple years ago. But anyways, it's always going to have a special place in my heart for picking it up there, and also has gilded edges, which are so beautiful. And what I also thought is very interesting, I don't know if, obviously horror readers and classic literature people are well aware of this, but just something to point out. The beginning, at least the beginning and some parts of Frankenstein are epistolary, and so is Dracula, which I thought is just a very interesting connection. Anyways, guys, you have all these reviews to look forward to, as well as more. And if you would like to see me review these books, please subscribe and like. That really helps. As well as follow me on Instagram. I also write my reviews as well. I do a video review and then I write the review. I feel like there's just something different that comes across in each kind of medium. And yeah, just check it out. Anyways, guys, have a good one. And also follow Deixis Press on Instagram as well, and check out their website for these books. Even though I haven't read them yet and I'm going to get to them, you can start reading them before me and then come back here and see what my thoughts were compared to yours. All right, guys, you have a good one.